Welcome at ARGO-HYTOS. My name is Martin Pfahler. I'm the technical sales guy for CME and FMA products at ARGO-HYTOS Germany, and I said a warm welcome to Christopher Schütz.
Thank you. My name is Christopher Schütz. I'm the Global Sales Manager for Condition Monitoring.
So Christopher, I participate at your webinar for the LubCos H2O sensor, and I have some open questions. The first question is, can the sensor measure only the relative humidity or some add-ons?
I mean, default, we can measure the relative humidity, but we can also calibrate that sensor to parts per million. For doing this, we need the saturation curve from the customer. Then we can calibrate the sensor with the saturation curve, and then we can also measure parts per million.
Are there some special recommendations for the mounting? So can I mount the sensor on every place of my device?
In general, there are no special requirements from ARGO-HYTOS, but there are some recommendations from ARGO-HYTOS. But you have explained me that you would like to put the sensor on the bottom of the tank. This is no-go for us, because if the sensor is damaged, then you must at first take out the oil, then you can screw out the sensor, which is a high effort. We say use the sensor from the top to the bottom, or from the side or on the return line, and important is that you have a position where you have an oil flow. If you don't have an oil flow, then you will not measuring some changing in the conditions. And the last point, which is important for us, the maximum pressure should not be higher than 50 bar.
Okay, and how did the sensor know which oil is inside? Have I teach it in front of, or what can I do?
You as a customer, Martin, you must not teach the sensor, because the sensor have a self-teaching process. Means if you get the sensor from ARGO-HYTOS, you mount the sensor in the system, and the sensor recognizes that he's over 20 degrees. Then he starts his teaching process. In the first step, the sensor calculates the temperature gradients from the oil, because from every oil this is different. If you have done this, then he saves the value from the permittivity and from the conductivity, and use the temperature gradient to calculate both values always to 40 degrees. And if the sensor is completely taught, he can give you a really accurate result about the remaining useful lifetime, so how long you can use the oil. Important is that this teaching process can take 250 up to 500 operating hours.
And my last question is, how can I see if I measure oil or I measure, as example, air?
This is a good question, and this is a question that we have also got during our webinar 4 months ago. You can see that over the permittivity. For example, in mineral oil, have a permittivity from 2.2 up to 2.3, but if the sensor is measuring air, then we have a permittivity from around 1. So means if the sensor is measuring in permittivity which is lower than 1, then the sensor also gives here the feedback, I'm in air and not in oil.
Thanks a lot for answering the question. This was very helpful.
Thank you, Martin, for having me today.